Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Hamjambo. On behalf of the International Maritime Organization, the Djibouti Code of Conduct family, and our gracious hosts, the Republic of Kenya and the Kenya Navy, it is my honor to welcome you to this inaugural workshop of the Djibouti Code of Conduct, the Gender Amendment Working Group 3 on Coordination and Cooperation at Sea here in Mombasa.
My name is Kiruja Micheni. I work with the International Maritime Organization as a program manager for the Djibouti Code of Conduct, a regional program that brings together countries from the Western Indian Ocean and the Gulf of Aden in tackling illicit maritime activities at sea. A lot of initiatives have been ongoing, spearheaded by regional states, with the realization that we can only be successful if we work together. We've got an effective information sharing network, which is already being developed. And also, we are trying to build partnerships with the other partner stakeholders that are operating in the region.
I'm Mashudu Nefumbada from the Republic of South Africa, which is currently the chair of the Djibouti Code of Conduct Gender Amendment. The Djibouti Code of Conduct Gender Amendment is an architecture that focuses on maritime security within the Western Indian Ocean and the Gulf of Aden. Within the architecture, we do have a governance structure where we have Working Group 1, which focuses on information sharing network, and we have Working Group 2, which focuses on capacity building and coordination. Currently, we are launching Working Group 3. It is an inaugural workshop which focuses on coordination and cooperation at sea. What has been lacking throughout the years is the collaboration with the navies, because from a civilian maritime perspective, our efforts can only reach thus far or within the 12 nautical miles and within the port limits. However, to fight crimes at sea and crimes like armed robbery and piracy, and to do joint operations, that requires naval forces, as they are the ones mandated to operate in high seas. So at the end of the workshop, we expect to have an effective framework. The terms of reference will be completed, which will enable the regional navies to execute their mandates together, supported by the civilian authorities. The advantage of Working Group 3 is that it's coming within a framework of the DCOC, which is already adopted by 22 member states. Whereas if you look at the regional centers like your RCOC and RMIFC, they are serving a limited capacity, like the member states within the islands of the Western Indian Ocean. So we are going to complement each other. So the limitations that is faced by the RCOC and the RMIFC centers are going to be then enhanced by the Working Group 3, which has got jurisdiction throughout all the whole of the Western Indian Ocean and the Gulf of Aden, whereas the other two centers are only servicing a certain specific area.
The reason that Working Group 3 is being established is with the realization that no one country or no one organization can deal with illegal activities at sea alone. It means we've got a lot of stakeholders, all of them that have a common interest to work together so that we can all deal with illicit activities together. In the past, we did not have a framework that brings all these entities together. And I would also like to point that the Gender Amendment to the Djibouti Code of Conduct, through its different articles, contains a very effective framework of cooperation that can enable a lot of work of countries working together and enabling that coordination and cooperation that is required for effective coordination of operations at sea. So really, we want to see how we can enable those other entities, including those that are from international navies, supporting regional initiatives, how they can take advantage of that framework to be able to work together so that we deal with those illegal activities at sea. But I think most importantly also is how we can promote a legal finish. Because in the past, when international navies operate without coordination with the regional states, in most cases, all they are able to do is disrupt operations, but it does not lead to prosecution. and handover of custody. So we want to come up with a mechanism that allows for countries to share information, actionable information, that action is then taken at sea, and then working with different partners, stakeholders, any suspects are taken, of course, are prosecuted, and that we have a mechanism that deters illegal activities taking place. The thing is, Working Group 3 does not seek to replace any of the partners that are working there, but really to create a mechanism that allows for synergies with those partners. I think what the RCOC and the MASE program, now the Safe Seas for Africa, has demonstrated is that it can be done. We've also had precedents in the past where South Africa, Mozambique, and Tanzania worked together through the tripartite agreement to do combined operations at sea. So really what we want to do is that, because the RCOC, that operation is limited to a few countries, we are looking at how we can scale up to cover the whole region. Remember, the GCOC has 21 signatory states, potentially 22 if you include France. So we need to expand so that we get all these other partners also working together. And I think we see, remember that those countries that are participating in the scope of the MASE program, all those countries are also members of the DCOC. So it's really just expanding that and giving it more in terms of the mandate as well, and also creating the legal frameworks that can allow for bigger operations.
My name is Nikolai Ruti. I am Ambassador and Special Representative for Maritime Security in a position with the Danish government that's split between the Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In respect to the question about Denmark's support for maritime security at the Horn of Africa, this is something that we have been engaged in for many years. Originally, this was focused on the piracy that was happening here, which is still somewhat a problem, but the threats against international maritime security has broadened. They become more complex. We are seeing the situation in the southern part of the Red Sea, which is a profound challenge, not only for Denmark, who have a great maritime interest, but globally for all countries who are dependent on international trade. So this is something that we are very keen to help support the countries in the region improving maritime security. In that respect, we believe that the Djibouti Code of Conduct is an essential element of this. This is 21 countries working together, having committed to improving maritime security along the East African coast. And the mandate of the Djibouti Code of Conduct, which is also called the Jeddah Amendment, is exactly because it has had its mandate broadened from being specifically around piracy to other acts of crimes at sea, which includes some of the threats that we see from for instance, the Houthis in the southern Red Sea. The Danish government published a new strategy last year on its approach to the African continent called Africa Century. So it's about a new approach to working with our African partners. Essentially, it is much more about developing equal partnerships and making sure that the solutions to the challenges on the continent, including here in the Horn of Africa, are developed by the countries in the region. So I think this workshop here in Mombasa is a very good example of that. We are not, Denmark as such, a member of the Djibouti Code of Conduct, but we can still help the process by facilitating this workshop, which we have co-sponsored and we participated in and added our intellectual value through our liaison officer with the Kenyan Navy, our defense attaché, myself, and so on. But the solutions, the way that the countries in the region deepen the operational cooperation on securing maritime security are done by the countries in the region and not by external partners such as Denmark.